Hi, it's Jaime again with Xpres Bath and Shower. We're doing a follow-up to our 1954 Rambler bathroom remodel, and we're actually starting day 3 of the construction. So day 1, as we discussed in the prior video, we did a bunch of demo and removal, and we prepped kind of the wet area here for day 2, which we used for our plumbing day to set our tub and to get our mixing valve installed. And as we start day 3 here, we're going to move into finishing the demo, removing the tile surround and removing the toilet. But I want to show you a little bit about what we did on plumbing day and kind of what goes on prior to your rough-in inspection. We do have a rough-in inspection at 9:30 a.m. this morning. That's part of the reason why we didn't complete the demo before we moved into the plumbing phase. We wanted to make sure that we had the plumbing completely finished and prepared for the inspector this morning at 9. So I want to point out to you, we did set the new tub. This is an Americast tub. It does have a set flange on it here, so this is kind of the set flange is what integrates the tub into the surround system, where if you want to pull the tub out, you got to take all the wall panels off. With that flange, it also helps because it keeps the water in, because your panels or your tile, whatever you have as a surround, is going to overlap, and then you get a bead of silicone around the perimeter when it's finished. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you an impervious kind of water surround for your shower and bathing area. So the other thing we did too is we updated the mixing valve. And when we changed that mixing valve, we updated a little bit of the plumbing. So we took out some of the old copper supply lines and updated them with PEX, with some plastic lines here. And then we did put in the Moen PosiTemp valve, which does have the mixing valve, and we'll bring the cartridge, we'll bring it up to spec so it meets current codes. As part of that process, oftentimes when we do a full-scale wet area remodel, people also like to move their shower head up a little bit. Whether you're taller or if you're not too tall for the current situation, it's always still kind of nice to have that water a little bit higher so it's falling down on you more than shooting or hitting you in the back. But again, Jaime with Xpres Bath and Shower, giving you a little bit of a follow-up on what we did on day 2 of our renovation with our plumbing. So I want to show you a little bit about how bathrooms and how homes are constructed, and a little bit of the issues that you can run into if you decide to do a bathroom remodel yourself or hire a contractor. But what we have here down on the floor is, this is the original subfloor. It's a 3/4 inch board, and it's a very common type of subfloor that they built in homes. We decided to kind of add a little structural stability to it by adding the 3/4 inch plywood on top of it. So we got a 3/4 inch original subfloor with a 3/4 inch plywood subfloor on top of that. So we got an 1.5 inches of subfloor, which adds a nice kind of stability to the floor, so that when you walk on it, it doesn't move or undulate in any fashion. It's going to give you a nice solid floor, subfloor, to adhere your flooring material to. So I want to also point out too that when we talked originally on the first day about the difficulty of removing 60-year-old ceramic tile and ceramic tile adhesives, I guess, and backer boards and thin sets, we talked a lot about kind of the silica sand, the dust and the debris, the dangers of potentially cutting yourself when you're removing the tile. But the other thing that I pointed out is we talked about kind of the weight and the thickness, and you can see that the subfloor here, and it does vary because the original subfloor has some undulations in it, but it's anywhere from 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches of solid concrete that was poured. So you can see here, there's a little bit of piece of paper here that they put down to cover these lines here, where the joints for the butt joints for the subfloor are, and that makes it so that cement doesn't fall through and go into the lower level before it dries. And then you have your lath, which is usually stapled or nailed down to the subfloor, and then they pour the concrete on top of that, so it gives you a nice level surface to set your tile, and then the tile set on top of that. So when you add all that together, it can become a very arduous and kind of dangerous task to get all of that flooring material removed. Hello, Jamie with Xpres Bath & Shower here again. I want to talk to you a little bit about setting a tub in an older home and some of the issues that you might run into and some things to watch out for when you're going through the process of pulling the tub out and putting the new tub in. We did put in an Americast tub, which is made by American Standard. It is kind of a cast with a porcelain top on it. A very straight skirt, kind of a sleek modern look, but since it isn't an acrylic tub or a fiberglass tub, how you set it in is a little bit different when you work with your set flange. Unless you go and pre-drill all the holes out, what you'll do is you'll take the little notches that they have kind of in the tops and the corners here, and you'll put screws in there, and it kind of tucks and holds it in place. With a fiberglass or acrylic tub, you'll obviously always want to follow manufacturer specs, but a lot of them will recommend that you actually just screw right through the set flange into your studs to kind of hold it in place. But what we like to do is foam it. Well, first of all, prep your subfloor to make sure that you don't have any moldy, rotty, or rotted areas that might be kind of deteriorating from moisture, and to level that out. And after you get a level on it, you make sure that you have your area prepped to set your tub in foam. Leave it sit overnight usually before you work with it a lot, but you will want to kind of set your screws in place, get your backer boards in place so that you have what you need to screw into to hold the tub down so that it can sit overnight while that foam settles. And you can tell once the foam dries up and gets in place, it actually helps it kind of not have much of an echo to it, and it helps hold it in place so it doesn't kind of undulate, so to speak, when you step into it. If you've ever stepped into a kind of an inexpensive fiberglass or acrylic pan, shower pan or tub, and it kind of moves when your feet step on it, there's ways that can be kind of beefed up underneath there to try and make that feel a little bit more solid. But the other thing I want to point out too is that when you're dealing with older homes, oftentimes the older homes have settled, they've moved a little bit over time, and what that does is that means that the walls get out of plumb or that they're not square, so that when you're putting a new product in, this just came out of a manufacturing facility that's about as close to square as you're going to get as far as the tub goes, but then we're dealing with 65-year-old 2x4 framed walls, and things come out of plumb, and things are going to be a little bit more difficult to get everything lined up nice and straight. So you can tell here down in this corner that it's about 3/4 of an inch off from this corner down here. So what we had to do is add some shims to try and get everything squared out, and then when we get into working with this wall, we'll probably end up building most of this wall out so that we can get everything kind of as plumb and square as possible, so that when we actually put our panels in over the backer board, that everything is kind of lined up and nice and square.